Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Advuja Revival podcast, where we're bringing you all things Iris. Today, we're going to be talking about the community, education, and micro shorts that Iris has compiled into a collection. But first, we're going to be looking at the awards.
And the winner of the community award is Dusky Headband by Juliet Mena.
The winner of the Iris Prize Education Award, sponsored by Mark Williams in memory of Rose Taylor, is After Everything by Olivia Phillips and Connie Beck.
The Iris Prize Micro Short Award, sponsored by Mark Williams in memory of Rose Taylor. The Gardener!
They were a really fantastic set of shorts that won those awards. But talking about them today with me is Llinos and Logan. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm good as well.
That's good to hear. I think we'll start with talking about Dusky Headband, which was in Community 1, and that's just won the Community Award. I personally really enjoyed this film. Like, it was a really interesting representation of, like, it took coming out in a different way. What did you think?
To be fair, I didn't realize they were going to take the title literally because it does translate into, like, learning to fly.
Mm-hmm.
It was my favorite of the collection. I'm really glad that it won. I also personally really liked it because it's actually shot in my local area in North Wales.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really nice. You don't usually get a lot of media coming from the north as
Mm-hmm.
much. I love the fact that it was all in Welsh, but I think my favourite thing was the fact that it represented coming out in like a really small area where like everyone knows everyone, and it is quite a difficult thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really good and really interesting way of like visualizing it as well, and it was quite visceral. I feel like it wasn't visceral in the way that you could like feel it and like really properly see it, instead of it being more of an emotional thing that you were going through with the characters, because you had the emotional thing as well, but you had a physical, like, visual thing to symbolize what they were going through, and I thought that was really interesting. And then we had the winner of the micro shorts, The Gardener, which was one of the poem films. So tell me what you thought about that.
I thought it was a really interesting film, especially because it was animated as well,
Mm-hmm.
which I really enjoy the fact that an animated film won an award. And just the poem itself being used was a very different way of telling the story that they wanted to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And with it being about dying and then being planted into the ground and sort of the rebirth through plants and being taken care of by the next generation in gardeners, it was just I thought it was a really beautiful piece. And I think all of the micro shorts in general were fantastic. It was nice to see short form content like that being celebrated, because it was different. It's a very different thing being shown at Iris.
Yeah, the poem films were really interesting. I wasn't like sure what to expect from them, but they were really like beautiful visual representations of what was being said. It was a really interesting like medium to do it through. But yeah, I know there was one film that particularly stuck out to you. I think it was Turing.
It was Turing. So Alan Turing, which I'm sure you know, was a mathematician, father of modern computing, and a brilliant man in general. But it is not so much a big fact that he was a homosexual man. And the film showcased him, well, his arrest as he was caught with another man. It really stuck out to me because I was looking at the screen. I was thinking, oh wait, I know this person, and I was a big fan of studying the history of World War II when I was younger, and he was the one who cracked the Enigma code, a set of code used by the Nazis, and he was a brilliant man in general. And the narration throughout it was done by the brilliant Stephen Fry, and it was explaining how we can look back on things like his arrest, and we see it as this awful thing because it is a man being arrested simply for loving a man. And the narration was speaking about how over time people's opinions change. And I mean, they even used it under the lens of people looking at computers and things like that. and how people's perspective on computers at the time was bad. And over time now, it's just become a natural part of life, and how incredible that is. But overall, I just thought it was just an interesting piece.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, it definitely seems like it was an interesting, especially interesting parallel to draw there with like computers, and especially with like technology advancing as we go on. But yeah, a very interesting parallel to draw there. I know that one of the films that stuck out to me, and I think to you as well, Llinos, was Astronaut.
Yes, I really like this one actually.
Yeah, it was a really sweet story. It felt very sad, but then had a very, very uplifting end, and it was representation for aromantic people and asexual people, which is not something that's really commonly shown. And so I was like very, very pleased to get to see that aspect of it. Tell me what you enjoyed.
What did I enjoy? Everything. It was a really nice film, but I think the thing that stood out to me the most was the way that they used the silence. That's maybe not something I was aware of while watching, but afterwards I was like, wow, that was actually really nice. You know, the way that you could tell she was visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And whenever he tried to approach, it was kind of the silence, the non-communication between the two of them. No, I really like the ending of it as well, though.
Yeah. The use of silence was really incredible. I feel like just especially like the tiny, tiny expressions each of the actors were making with their faces. Like it was the kind of thing where you can really identify what in that film makes it feel so like intimate, but then also like you can just feel the sadness, feel the like tragedy of it. But yeah, it was really good. Thank you so much for both of you talking to me about the community and education and micro short films with me. Thank you so much for watching the Advocate Revival podcast, which is brought to you by the Performance and Media students in association with Iris Prize Film Festival here at the University of South Wales.